All right, welcome back, my friends. Ford has dropped the Maverick on us after months of seeing camouflaged versions of it. They finally introduced it with a flurry of videos and also sending it out to other car reviewers who had a chance to pick around it and give some information about it. I can say there's some good, there's some bad, there's some surprises, and some that maybe are a little disappointing but not unsurprised. So let's dig into it and I'll give you my thoughts today. All right, so welcome back, and this has been pretty well requested by me. I mean, I was thinking about doing one anyway, but when my wife was like, you should talk about this, I decided I should do a video. And if you've been to my channel before, you know that I've months of talking about the good old days of these small, compact, truly compact trucks that were simple and durable and could carry things around, like the old Nissan hard bodies or the Mazda B2000s or the Mitsubishi Mighty Max. And I'm here to tell you the Maverick is not the return of those. And I'm not sad about that. I'm not sure there's a big market for really primitive 4-cylinder, 5-speed, normal cab trucks. Maybe there's 12 of us that want them, okay? So I think the Maverick is going to be an absolute winner for Ford. And now that I've seen it, I believe that even more strongly. I think it's very interesting in the market of a compact truck that you've got Ford and Hyundai coming at it from different directions, from a different point of view. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. While the Hyundai is going to be on the market sooner, Ford seems to be trying to trump them a little bit by getting more information out sooner. And I'll be honest, the more I look at this truck, the more I like it. So what we do know is really no surprise. It's based on the Escape and the Bronco Sport. It is a unibody truck, and probably we shouldn't be surprised, but it is front-wheel drive. The big surprise was that the base engine is a 2-liter hybrid powertrain. That's pretty interesting, and I'm a little surprised. I thought they'd come out with the 3-cylinder, 5-speed, really a stripper model. They're aiming for a $20,000 price range, $19,995, without destination. So we know it's going to be over that right off the bat. But they didn't come out with a stripper. They came out with the hybrid powertrain. Now there will be an upgraded, no, that's the 2-liter, turbocharged with an all-wheel drive option. There's going to be ultimately 3 trim lines, an XL, an XLT, and the Lariat edition, and at release they're going to have the Lariat First Edition that comes out as well. Now interestingly, the XL comes pretty well equipped. It looks like it's just coming with steel wheels, but with that 2.5 liter, hybrid engine, 8-inch touch screen, LED headlamps, 2 USB ports, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay standard even on the base model, and Ford's flex bed, which we'll talk a little bit more in a minute. The XLT is a little bit more, you get aluminum wheels, and what I really like is that under the rear seat they're going to have some storage, and also there's a little cubby back in the bed itself. And the bed is really what's worth talking about here. They have about a 1,500 pound, if I remember, payload capacity. The base engine can tow, I think it's 2,000. With the upgraded engine, you can tow about 4,000, and they make a pretty big deal about talking about that. But the bed's really special. They've got a plug back there, they've got a light back there, but they've also got rails. They've carried a plastic over the top. Well, this is a right-sized truck, and average adults can reach into it. They covered the top of the bed to the edges of it to protect it as you load things in and out. Ford is a leader in trucks, and this is a really, really well thought out design. They've maximized the bed of what's not a really large truck here. The bed itself is 4.5 feet long, 6 feet with the tailgate down. The tailgate can be actually set in a couple of different angles so that if you do have a sheet of plywood back there, you can lift the tailgate up so it actually supports it. Now this does mean a 4x8 sheet would overhang by about 2 feet, so you've got to strap it in pretty good. but they have shown pictures and videos where you can get a 4x8 sheet of plywood in the back of it. The fact of the matter is that for most of us who need a daily driver and once in a while pick something up from Home Depot or Lowe's, this is just about perfect. This is probably 99% of what we need. I think this will also be a big hit with couriers, delivery people. You can imagine your Napa Auto Parts having one of these to deliver things in. I don't know that heavier duty contractors are going to need this. You don't see a concrete contractor throwing bags of cement back here, really wrecking the car. But for the majority of people and the majority of small contractors, this might be perfect sized. Now, that leads me to the size. This is substantially bigger than those old trucks I was talking about. I think it's, I looked it up, I think it was 10 or 12 inches longer than, say, like a Nissan Frontier back in the day. But it is about 10 inches shorter than a Honda Ridgeline. So it looks bigger than it actually is. But it's still pretty big. The fact is that 199 inches long, this thing's as big as a Ford Explorer. Okay, so it's not a teeny tiny little thing, it's just smaller than everything else out there. And I think for today's market and today's crash standards, that's right sized. Now let's look on the looks. I'll tell you what, I'm not a huge fan. I'm a little disappointed in it at the front end. I think the side and the rear looks fantastic, and Ford absolutely did what Ford should have done, which is make this thing look like a truck. They're trying to shed that image that the Ridgeline has of being, that's a minivan base, and it's too car-like, and it's never resonated with truck people, even though it's what 99% of people probably really need in a truck. It's an exceptionally good truck. But here, they've done the same idea, but they've made it look like a truck, right? The front end, to me, is a little overdone. It's a little thick. They've tried to take those C-style headlamps from the F-150, but it doesn't quite work for me. They put this huge grille on it that just looks out of place. It's like they made the front thick just to be thick, just to make it truckish, and it looks a little ridiculous. However, it's been a few days. I've watched a lot of videos about this thing. I've looked at a lot of pictures, and the more I look, the more I like. Especially in the red, and they've got this blue that I've really got my eye on. They've also got a couple of other really exciting ones. Unfortunately, color-wise, Ford seems to want to keep showcasing this one gray blue here, and it's actually named Area 51. So keep that in mind. I'm not a fan of it. I think it makes the truck look horrible, but nobody at Ford asked me. On the inside, I think it's pretty thoughtfully designed. It's a little modern with the armrests and everything else, the way they do the styling, but it's got lots of little cubbies for 1 liter bottles and things like that, places to set your phone. Unfortunately, it's got that circular gear selector that Ford likes. I absolutely hate it. It's my least favorite out there. I'd rather have a push button than this, but they still stuck it in here. And in the actual gauge cluster, it's real gauges, real mechanical, physical gauges, not just a screen. They've got a little information screen stuck in the middle there, but it's really real gauges. And I think that's actually them bringing it down to the price point and making it as simple as possible. I really like that. The rest of the interior kind of reminds me of the Escape, and I'm not a fan of the Escape interior. It's well designed, the ergonomics is fine, but it's just cheap. I think in this, at $20,000, I can kind of excuse it a little bit. Now let's talk about price and the powertrain. That base model coming in at $20,000, that's a good deal, but they're not acknowledging what the horsepower is going to be on that base hybrid engine. I think it's probably going to be 180 to 190. I heard one person say it's going to be up near 240, which would bring it as strong as the optional engine. I just don't see Ford doing that. And for price, we think it's probably going to top out somewhere around $35. Nobody really knows. Ford has not released pricing yet, but having something that starts at about $20, goes up to the mid-20s, 30, and then tops out at about 35. That makes a lot of sense and places it really strongly just below the Ranger and, of course, the F-150. So my final thoughts on it are, I'm kind of excited, honestly. It is a car-based truck. We're taking the unibody, which is why we're getting 4 doors and a bed tacked on the back of it. Again, initial impressions of the styling, it didn't do it for me. But looking at it the past couple of days, the more I see it, the more I like it. And in talking with my wife numerous times, she wants me to shut up about it. The fact of the matter is I need the 4 seats once in a while. I want something car-based. Front-wheel drive does not bother me at all because I'm not going to go off-roading with it. I'm not going to tow a boat with it. I want something that is an everyday driver that sometimes I can throw stuff in the back of it when I need it, whether it's a piece of furniture that we're bringing home or whether it's, 20 bags of mulch. This would be just about perfect. It's essentially a compact sport utility with that bed hanging in the back. It's a little bigger than I really wanted, but the styling's growing on me. I want to reserve judgment until I see one in person and actually touch the interior and see what the materials are. I think it's going to be cheap, but I think the price, at least at the base levels, it's going to make perfect sense. And that's honestly what I think I'd be aiming for. You don't get push button start and the fancy remotes until you get up to the Lariat edition. But, gosh, I think I'd be happy with the base model pretty much. So pricing 20, 31, 35 is probably where we're going to end up. And the more I think about it, the more excited I get about this car. I've struggled a long time with, do I get a new Accord? Do I get something like a CR-V? But boy, this is muscling its way in, is being able to fit a couple of different things for me. The one hang-up would be something like a CR-V has that hatch. Well, I don't leave things in the trunk. I don't care about locking it. So either I've got the back seat that things are locked, or if I picked it up, I could buy one of those covers for the bed, store it back there, say if it's drizzling or something like that, to bring it home. I think this is an absolute home run for Ford, and I don't think they can get it on the market fast enough. And it's very interesting, I'll close with this, is that this unibody, front-wheel drive, more lifestyle vehicle, Hyundai's coming at it too, but it's fascinating to look at the Maverick and the Santa Cruz kind of side by side, looking at them. The Santa Cruz is more the sport utility with a little lifestyle bed stuck behind it. It's more appropriate for throwing your camping gear in the back of it. It's not really meant for bikes and lumber and things like that. Ford's tackling the same thing. I guarantee you, they're gonna have lifestyle playing up videos of this, of people with their bikes and their ATVs and camping and all this other stuff. They're gonna play that up. I wouldn't be surprised if they have special editions like the Splash special edition. But they're looking at it from we're a truck company, so let's build the truck of unibody construction. And that's where I say I think there's a lot of landscapers, there's a lot of small contractors. This is perfect. And I'm pretty excited about it. I can't wait to see one in person and actually touch it and see what it feels like. So let me know your thoughts on it below, guys. Are you nearly as excited about it as I am? Not sure if I'm ready to part with my money because I don't want to be an early adopter and pay the tippy top prices. But boy, I'm excited to see one.